Good evening. My name is Laura Schifrin, and I chair the Housing Authority for the Town of Townsend. I would like to call the meeting to order now at 7:15. Today is May 2nd, 2018. I'd like to start the roll call. Chaz, with you?
Chaz Sexton Duranian.
Laura Schifrin.
Betty Ann Coleman.
Carol Toole.
I'd like to also announce that the meeting is being recorded. And Chaz, if you would do the honor of holding our little flag, we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Really?
Yeah. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I should get a flag in here.
For any veterans that may be in the audience, and for those of you at home, we thank you for your service. The next thing on the agenda is additions, deletions to the agenda, unforeseen prior to 48 hours before this meeting. And the only thing I have to announce in reference to that is that Susan Congdon was not on the roll call today. She called this afternoon and said that she wasn't feeling well and would not be able to attend this evening. So that would be the only change. And then I would further like to welcome Carol J. Toole to our board, and we look forward to working together with you. We know that you're very interested in the Veterans Project.
Welcome, Carol.
Yeah, thank you very much for donating your time. Next on the agenda, we have the approval of the minutes of Thursday, November 30th, and votes may be taken. If you look, it's the second item, says draft of the minutes. It was emailed to the board a bit late yesterday, and I'm sorry for that being late. Anybody have any additions or corrections to those minutes?
I do. I have a correction on the Agawam.
Oh, spelling?
Yeah.
Ugh, I knew that. Couldn't you tell me that, like, before?
I just noticed
The
it.
W-A-M.
It's like a wigwam, Agawam.
So it's just without the U
Yeah.
that I have there?
Yeah.
And I had it that way. Okay, I can just cross that out. Anything else on there? What you have after the draft of the minutes is the attachment of the November 30th response was part of the minutes, so that will go as an attachment to the minutes.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
You should second it.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, I'll go ahead and post this tonight.
Yes, you can with just that cross out.
Yep.
So that would be approved. And we approved that at 7:18. We're very efficient.
Do you want me to post with the
Yeah.
letter?
Because that was part of the reading. You might also post the...
Annual report?
No, that would be, you could post that on our website, actually, if you like, because not everybody gets the full book,
Okay.
you know, from the town. I know I didn't get it last night when I was there. And also, if you could post what was read at the meeting was the response, but also the actual violation from Cindy King.
Yep, I can do
So
that.
you can just put that all together.
Okay, yep.
Thank you for doing that. Okay, so this evening, for my chairman's report, I'd like to dedicate this first meeting and basically everything that I do for Town Hall and for any housing project that we're going to be working on to Kathy Arujo. Kathy passed on April 3rd, just before her 59th birthday. And I just know Kathy as being the biggest researcher in town. If it wasn't for her, we would not have Townsend Woods. We would not have the building that you're
Right,
living in.
exactly.
If it was not for her. It took us 7 years and three times being refused funding by HUD. We were, according to Lionel Romaine, the last HUD 202 that was done in the state with Townsend Woods. So knowing that after the building was built, she was one of the first to offer the suggestion of the veterans housing, because there should be funding coming along for that versus trying to get more elderly housing and affordable housing done that way. And just as an aside, so everyone knows, and it's part of our report, that our charge as the Housing Authority is to obtain or attain 10% affordable housing in Townsend. And we're at around 5 now with our housing report that was approved by the town in 2015 that gave us a schedule, or where we're going towards in our affordable housing counts, and cited several different projects in town, one of them being Turnpike Village, which added 42 units to our count at the time that that was built. So, Kathy was the land use coordinator, and we have not had a land use coordinator since Karen Chapman left last March. So it's been a little difficult without any staff help to get even get a quorum. For 2 years we had trouble getting a quorum, and Karen was with us during that time and tried diligently to try to make that quorum work. And Chaz came on, and he was, I refer to him as my right hand before he was then and still is now. So Karen is also missed, and there's been no one to fill her shoes. And so we operate basically out of my office, my home, as far as, you know, paper, ink, printing, getting the work done, that kind of thing. And we can't, as a government entity, be operating like this. So hopefully our town administrator will be filling that position soon. I had the opportunity to speak with him last week about this, and he said that it was in the budget that was passed last night, and that he will do this, hopefully get right on this ASAP, you know, because you need to post the position for 10 days, and then hopefully, they've had applications in the past, it was just never acted on. Hopefully it will be done now. I also want to briefly mention, as many of you know, we had several open meeting law violations brought against us that we had to deal with last year. We talked about this at the last meeting, the open meeting law training, and I did have my training actually from my SOFA on December 14th. I took it after my surgery. And that's another reason why I apologize to the town for us not meeting during the bad winter that we had, but I was scared to death to go out. So hopefully we'll be meeting more often now. We plan to. And we'll take it from there. One of the things that Lionel had brought up at the meeting that on November 30th was the fact that they do partner with the town in giving us money for feasibility study. And that is our next step. That's the first thing we need to do as a housing authority, is to get funds for the feasibility study for that last parcel of land at Atwood Acres in Townsend Woods. And we have about 7 acres left.
A little more than that.
Maybe a little more than that, because the other 2 buildings are on 2 and 3 acres. each, and the total parcel is 11, plus. So we're looking forward to doing that. I spoke with MRPC, which is the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission, of which I'm a member through the Planning Board, and they have money available for feasible study through the block grant, which the town is supposed to be applying for, because it's been at one of the other Board of Selectmen meetings. And, but that is, we missed 2018, so we won't get any this year, which means we won't get it approved until next year, which means we may not see any money from MRPC till the end of 2019. That's almost 2 years from now. So I think our best bet is going to try to get CDAC back here and see if we can't work more quickly in getting some feasibility money out of them.
Sorry, what is that organization?
It's the Community Economic Development Commission. One of the remarks that he made at our November 30th meeting that I've tried to get clarification on was that we, at the end, when Townsend Woods opened, and that was the end of that project, the town was supposed to get $10,000 as seed money for our next project. I've not found the money. I've asked the question, and I'm going to work on trying to find out where that is. Because we continually get, and I wanted to mention this as well in my report, we continually get requests for housing from agencies that assist people who are homeless. In this pile of mail that I got picked up after 4 months, it had about 8 applications. One of them came from OurCAP, who should know that we don't have housing, and we don't. As a town, we don't have any houses or apartments that we rent out. Some facilities do. Gardner, Fitchburg, a lot of the cities, have houses or apartments that the housing authority actually rents out and manages. We don't have that. So because there were so many, I just shredded them. I mean, these applications have Social Security numbers and, very private information on them that shouldn't be out there. So that's another thing that's on my list to do, is to try to find out where those funds are. He stated that we did get that, so it should be somewhere. If nothing else, it could start the feasibility study, which is how he kind of presented it to us. So hopefully we get to find that. And those are my remarks. Now that my remarks are over, we have a new board, so we need to have some motions for chair and clerk and so on.
For reorg, why are you looking at me? I know that we definitely would need to have a clerk that's going to be able to pick up mail and to take care of some of the clerical stuff before each meeting. Throwing it out there.
That was subtle. Sure.
Okay, want to make a motion?
So I will make a motion to...
It's very common for the newbie on the block
to do this.
to kind of get introduced to the process by being the clerk. So it's happened to many.
I make a motion to ask Carol to be the clerk for the reorganization.
I second it.
Okay, any further discussion? No, and Carol accepts.
I accept.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Carol. I need your
Really
email address,
appreciate
and I'll
that.
send you all the letters.
Jamie.
Okay. We need a chair.
I have no problem with Lori staying the chair.
Unless you would like to.
Oh, I think you're doing a wonderful job. I support you fully.
So do we need to?
Yeah.
We need to do a formal motion?
Yeah.
Okay, I make a motion to keep Lori Schifrin as the chair for the Housing Authority.
Second it.
Agreed.
Discussion, okay? All
I
those in
accept.
favor? Okay.
Aye. Yay.
All those in favor?
Aye, aye.
Okay. So reorganization is taken care of. Chaz, you're next.
Okay. This is 1.10. This is a report of discussion with the Attorney General's office regarding the open meeting law violation. This seems to be like an ever-ending kind of thing. As our last meeting on November 30th, we had addressed fully all three open meeting law violations that were brought forward by Cindy King. And in each one of those, we had addressed singly what our remedy was supposed to be. On November 30th, we had all agreed on one letter that addressed all three of the open meeting law violations, and that will be posted when I post everything else from our meeting. That letter outlines exactly what the violations were and our response to them that we all agreed upon on November 30th. Since then, I've had several emails by the Attorney General's office, which really was asking me more for clarification in regards to the actual, what the violations were asserting. It was my opinion that these open meeting law violations really had to do with how it was more of a clerical issue than anything else, really. There has been no fiduciary irresponsibility. It boiled down to that there was a misinterpretation of whether or not we had formed a committee, which we didn't. And so what we decided to do in the next meeting is disband or not go forward with that particular committee or focus group that we had. Once we had done that, it was then brought to our attention that we had a report. The report was something that I wrote because I had met with some people that we were going to bring it to the full board. So the clerical error was that I had written a report that I included in an agenda. After we got the open meeting law violation, I took it out. So, according to the last correspondence that I had with the Attorney General's office, it basically was that the issue was that there was a report that wasn't referenced in the minutes because it was never brought up in the meeting, and that it's Hannah Rush from the Attorney General's office, basically is going to give us a finding. Had we had any issues, I'm sure we would have had an immediate finding, on it. So everything that we had said that we were going to do, we submitted. I actually called her. And then after I called her and explained my side of how I saw it, she asked me to give it to her in writing, which I did. And that was the last time I conversed with her was February 28th. And she had a follow-up just making sure that this is exactly how I'm seeing it. Is this correct? And I said yes, and we haven't heard anything since. So that's kind of sort of where we're at.
And when I go through the mail, there has not been any mails since
finding,
that
anything.
2/28 date.
Yep.
So I'll make sure when we do the mail part. So thank you for that, Jazz. If you have seen the YouTube of November 30th, you will have heard the whole response, and this is just what has taken place since that November 30th meeting. There were some notices that we got in the mail that were copies, and I'll go over that when we do the mail, because I've already seen that I've gone out of order in my agenda when I had my report. And 1.11, I've already talked about the town administrator and the hiring of the land use coordinator. And number 2, we have no appointments tonight. Number 3, in our work session, I will now go through the mail. Let's see if I can look backwards. One of the things that happened, and I think it's on your agenda, when I picked up the mail, yeah, there was, and I brought this to the attention of the town clerk's office, there was certified mail, which was a government piece of mail, that had been signed by somebody here at Town Hall. And I just said to her, who would have signed it? Because there were 3 notices and then certified mail regarding this. I should have it all. It actually was the census, 217 census for government survey, blah, blah, blah. And so there were 3 and then 1 certified. And I said, you know, if you're going to sign for a certified piece of mail, you should at least notify the chair. There's no staff. You know, the town administrator knows and the town clerk knows that there's no land use coordinator, so there's no staff for Townsend Housing, so why wouldn't you let the chairman know that you've signed for a piece of mail? Anyway, I got it, and I did the survey online, because the last time it was done was maybe 5 years ago or so, and that chairperson had since passed. So, anyway, that got done, and I informed them. We also got a tax bill on Atwood Acres, and I wondered why we got that, and it was a mistake. So, I looked into that. And then in January 16th, January 10th, and December 22nd, and November 28th were all copies of letters sent to individuals in town who had sent in open meeting law violation complaints on the Townsend Housing Authority, and we got copies of the Attorney General's response to those individuals. So we have those. Then there was, well, this will be a little more explanation, so I'll wait for a minute on that. We do have, the Townsend Housing Authority does have a checking account at Workers Credit Union, and it was opened with $125. And when we did that, that was all the money that the town gave us. Actually, I don't even know if it was 125, it might have been more than that. It was when Michelle Cannon was on the board. And it was used for a membership, and a membership for the Townsend Housing Authority, which a bill came for that, but I really have no idea what the membership is for. Membership. It can be Housing Authority and Maintenance Supervisor is $50, individual membership is $15, Housing Authority only membership is $35. I really have no idea. But we somehow would have to go through some process of, I think that my thought was to ask the treasurer if we had belonged in the past, if checks had been written in the past, if so, what were they? So I'm thinking that's probably the logical step. And we had, in 2017, got 38 cents interest on our checking account.
That's really for if we had, we don't hold any real property.
No.
But that's for like certification for small spaces if we needed to go in and fix something or whatever. I don't even know why we I would definitely see why we would have that.
Well, I did not look them up online, and there was no phone number on the form. So my thought was to call them and say, why did we get this? But I had no phone number to call and no email address. There is an address. I can work on that, I suppose. We also had notice from the town clerk as to whose seat was up, and you've taken that seat. And then some of the notices that we got from the town were November, December, and January. And we got something from Kathy Spoford on November 20th about requirements for boards and committees regarding open meeting law. There's a new guide that came out October 6th of 2017, and they started letting the boards know that they should be taking the webinar. And you can take it online, so you don't have to go in person. And then we also got 5 copies of this. And it says that it's addressed to municipal employees, of which we are none.
Right.
But we are elected or appointed, and it refers to the state has mandated each municipal employee, full-time or part-time, paid or unpaid, of volunteer and elected officials, that would be us, annually sign a written acknowledgement that he/she has been provided the summary of conflict of interest law. The attached written acknowledgement must be completed and filed with the town clerk annually. Upon receipt, this receipt can be returned to her either electronically, mail, or person. So I'm just going to give each of you one of these, and just make sure that you get it back to the town clerk, and I'll make sure that Susan gets one as well. And this one was in February. This one I actually sent along to the Townsend Business Association, because I thought it was more something that they could do or hold. It was from the Commonwealth of Mass Office of Consumer Affairs and Business Regulation, and it really had to do with somebody who does presentations on identity theft, online safety, home improvement contractors, etc., which wouldn't really fit into any of our meetings. So I did scan it and send it to the president of the Townsend Business Association.
That could be something for the senior center as well.
Senior Center?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, as far as the identity stuff and stuff.
Yeah.
I can send that along to Karen.
Okay.
She may have gotten it, but I'll send it. And then on March 29th, 2018, which we received on March 3rd, 2018. Interesting. The stamp does say March 3rd, 2018, but the date on the letter is March 29th, 2018. Okay, so this is from CHAPA, Citizens Housing and Planning Association, which we have done work with. In fact, I think they were one of our first meetings last summer, and there is a YouTube on it. I think it was the June or July timeframe, so you might want to take a peek at that if you're interested. As you may be aware, Citizens Housing and Planning Association, CHAPA, is the monitoring agent for 2 Chapter 40B developments in Townsend, Benjamin Condominiums and Coppersmith Way.
Yep.
Benjamin Condominiums is what I referred to before on Turnpike Road, which I thought was Turnpike Village. And that whole development is...
Newer one.
Yeah, the newer one is 40B. Coppersmith Way, 40B, 12 affordable units, which we probably will never see.
Why?
Because they've only built I think 4 of the 12. And, yeah, because of the different phases that they were in, and just a little bit of history on that.
That was Carter Scott, right?
Yeah, and that took him 7 years to get that approval, and there were many different phases to it, and he only had to build 1 or 2 affordable in each phase. So there are phases that are not done. He went bankrupt. It has been bought up by other developers now, and we really don't know what is going to happen. Let me just see if they say anything here about that, because what I did, because of access as a realtor, is I looked up what was going on Coppersmith Way, because we had gotten notices that 2 of the affordable units in there, they couldn't sell as affordable units, and which meant they went to market, and which meant we lost them as affordable. Dave?
Why couldn't they sell them at affordable?
Because nobody would buy them.
How much?
Because of the price.
What was the price point?
Price point was around $199.
It wasn't because of the price point, just because of the price point. There's other
Criteria.
right, that you have to.
I understand that,
Yeah.
because I was on the zoning board, got dragged into court by the developer when all of that was done.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So I was just curious.
Yeah, we're trying to preserve as much as we can with that, but this was sometime last year we decided that it had to go to open market because there was nobody.
Right.
There.
They asked us, we voted as
Yeah.
far as the Housing Authority, and I want to say Karen was still with us then?
Yes, she
when we
was.
did that. So, and it had been on the market for almost a year at that time. The problem with that particular one was that it was not in good condition. It had not been cared for. Now, the affordable units that are there, because we're in Middlesex County, the income level is higher and the amount that you can charge as affordable is higher. So what we might, at that time, a year or so ago, what we might have considered affordable really was higher than maybe something else would have been in town at the time.
It's because we're lumped in with Boston as part of the
Cambridge.
economic reason, like
Absolutely.
Pepperell is in with Lowell, which skews their prices. as
Correct.
well.
Correct. Exactly. I mean, there's pluses and minuses to that. If you're a landlord, if you're getting people that are on Section 8, you're going to get more a month than you would in another county. But on the other hand, it doesn't work on the affordable housing end very well for us, anyway, as a town. So, what?
So there weren't new units when they were designated affordable?
No, they were new when they were designated affordable, and they were sold as affordable. We had the drawing. There were
Oh, so
people.
somebody had lived in it and it was still affordable and they'd moved up. Okay, got
Correct.
it.
They were trying to sell it. So we've had 2 that have sold, and one of them went for $205 that was on at $240, and then the other ones in there are just mind-boggling to me. It's $304 and $315, and the 2, the one that was $205, doesn't even say on the listing. Now, let me get through the CHAPA letter. But we have, the 2 that they did have were in the MLS. I've never been involved in that complex at all, personally.
Is that 13? Is it 13 that's on there? Because there's one that's still on the website that had that.
Oh, no, these are, I only did the solds and one under agreement.
Gotcha, okay.
So, As a monitoring agent, CHAPA reviewed and approved the marketing and lottery plan, oversaw the lottery process for Phase 1 and Phase 2, and verified that applicants for the affordable units had household income that was at or below 80% of the area median income, as established by HUD, for Townsend, and have assets within the established limit. We have certified the eligibility of all the purchasers in Phase 1 and all but one for Phase 2. We have been advised that development has been acquired by a new developer who intends to complete the construction of the remaining affordable and market units in accordance with the existing comprehensive permit. So that may work out well. The monitoring agent, CHAPA, reviews refinance requests for affordable unit owners and coordinates any resales of affordable units. We coordinated one resale at Coppersmith Way in 2017. We did not receive any refinancing requests for CHAPA monitored properties in Townsend for 2017. Oh, this is good. I'm gonna, we'll keep this in the forefront for this board to keep monitoring, and I'll let you all know what I see come through MLS. So that's probably the most relevant information that came in the mail.
That's going to help our inventory.
It will if they do
They go through it.
finish. Yeah. Okay. So 3.2. Already went through that when I told you about my meeting at MRPC. 3.3. This was a little disappointing to me because I did reach out to Veterans Inc. and I did reach out to Veterans Count, and that's on your agenda and the contact information. I reached out twice to both and did not hear back from either one. What I didn't do, and I apologize, is I did not reach out to Soldier 1. And I am going to actively work on that and hopefully get them here sooner rather than later. Because if you look at our YouTube meeting of November 30th, Lionel was very... and those in the audience that came, we had a lot of veterans at that meeting, stated that working with Soldier 1 was really a good experience. They had a lot of experience and they had a lot of services that they would be able to help out with. So that is next on our list. We've already made the motion. It was on the November 30th meeting that the suggestion came from the audience, and the board made the motion to have them come to one of our meetings. So I'm not going to say that I'm giving up on the other two that are here. We'll still try to meet with as many groups as we can.
Is that something that I can help you with calling them? You can give me an idea of what I need to try to get them.
Okay.
I will reach them.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for doing that.
I think that would be really good. What we're really looking for is to get them in here so that we can talk to them and explain to them, those organizations, what we're interested in doing and seeing what their interest is in it.
I just need somebody to give me, the information that I need to portray to them to get there.
Yep.
Is this something, and my first meeting, so please excuse my ignorance, is that something that I can say, hey guys, can you fill me in on this outside of the meeting, or it only has to be done at the meeting? If we discuss it outside of a meeting, have we violated the open meeting law?
Only if we're a quorum.
Right.
We do frown upon that. We try not to do that. As you see, I've sent you some emails that have that clause on it and don't reply all, that kind of thing. I'm trying to get information out to the board, but it's not a discussion kind of thing.
Right. There's a lot of background information that's on the website if you really kind of dig through it.
Okay.
It talks about the affordable housing plan that we've been working on. It talks about kind of the background of what we're looking for for a next project. As far as what we're kind of doing right now is trying to find out what's going to work, where the interest is, and you know, where the money is going to come from. Bottom line is that we do have a lot of interest. Being the state representative, I have some contacts that are in the state. We've had Sheila Harrington here for a couple of meetings. There is interest for the state of Massachusetts as far as funding for veterans housing. They have shown interest. There are several different areas in which they'd like us to look into, and that's why we're looking at a couple of different agencies right now. So.
All right, thanks.
Thank you for offering. So we'll continue that. 3.4, social media process regarding THA. Chaz?
I wanted to bring this up to the chair and to the board. In lieu of some of the issues that are going on, especially that with our past open meeting law issues that we've had, I'd like to bring it to all of our attention that anytime that anything that we talk about in the meeting really shouldn't go on any type of social media as a comment. And the reason being is it may infringe upon the open meeting law violations, and we really should look away from that. I've done some research. I've actually talked to some of my colleagues in Boston in regards to what their thoughts on it is. Our particular municipality does not have any protocol as far as the social media is concerned. But my concern is this. When we do talk about something within a meeting and then somebody from the outside contacts one of us on the board, that would be our opinion as opposed to the board's opinion, and sometimes that gets misconstrued. So I basically wanted to bring it to all of our attention that we have to be really careful about what we put out on social media. You know, it may be our opinion, or it may be something that we feel is right, but it gets misconstrued by the public as being all of our opinion, and that really can't be. And that could be, you know, we could put ourselves in some hot water.
But you're not talking about us posting the agenda for a meeting or inviting the public to come to a meeting.
No. You know, if and I don't do this, but if I did go on to a, I don't know, a group or whatever, and somebody asked me a particular question about, I don't know, you know, something that we had discussed here, I may feel that it's an innocent comment about answering it, but it does put the board in open meeting violation if I do. All right. So I guess the biggest rule of thumb, I've looked at a lot of different towns in the state of Massachusetts, and the biggest one that I really looked at was there was one in Hingham, and there was one in Chatham, where basically it said that we're not going to entertain any conversation on social media with anybody in regards to anything that has to do with the housing authority. And I also want to add on to that is that we are all elected or appointed officials, and we should, you know, refrain from pointing fingers, I guess is the best way to describe that. I'm here, I personally am here because I have a personal interest in gaining affordable housing for people who really need it. I've been in human services for a very long time, and if I'm going to do anything, that would be to get some of these things built for the people that for the town of Townsend, number one. But number two is I'm not going to put that in jeopardy because of, you know, common talk on social media. So I just would like to throw it to the board that if we could kind of refrain from any of that kind of stuff and move forward, because I'm trying to get through what we went through last year. Let's move forward and continue on with our mission.
Any questions? Okay. Thank you, Chaz, for looking into that and your comments. Okay, 3.5, OurCAP. OurCAP is the group that was our partner with Atwood Acres and Townsend Woods. And when I say our partner, when the town goes into a project to build affordable housing, we Well, the biggest thing that we have is the fact that we own a piece of land. And that piece of land becomes our asset in venturing out and getting a partner. Because we don't have anything else. We don't have any money. We only have that to try to expand our affordable housing. And in the first, I was not involved in the first project, which was Atwood Acres. And in the first project, it was OurCAP that was the partner. And so when it came to the second project, and like I said, Kathy Ruja was the land use coordinator at the time, she was very supportive of having OurCAP come in. We had several meetings with many different people coming in, and then the architects and everything else. It's a very long process, involved process, has many moving parts to it, if you will. And it's not anything that we could possibly do on our own, especially since the staff that we did have was part-time. We don't have that staff for 30 or 40 hours or even 20. We get a portion of that staff that also works with some other boards. So OurCAP then became the management. So they take care of custodial, any maintenance items that have to be done, any issues, the renting, the leasing, all of that is done by OurCAP. And for that, they get a very reduced tax rate for those buildings because we own the land. So they became our partner in the second Townsend Woods as well. And basically the same individual that for OurCAP worked on both buildings. And then after the opening, about 4 or 5 years ago, the sort of management changed. People left there for various reasons. And then all of a sudden, like within the last 2 years, the manager who had been with Townsend Acres, or Atwood Acres, for 25 or whatever years was gone. And then within the last year, there's been 3 people turning over at Townsend Woods. And in the last 2 years, there were some residents that had issues that they were talking to me about and some other people about. And
why the people, why all of a sudden we had all this turnaround in management?
Well, there was a different head or president or whatever of OurCAP. And so there were things that were changing in OurCAP. And and to be upfront and whatever with everyone, I not only worked on the building for 7 years, I then was one of their directors and met with them until December, when they removed my directorship. December or January, they removed my directorship. Well, what happened was in October, we had our annual meeting, which they do every year for Townsend Woods. And there had been some issues going on since the meeting before, the year before. And Kathy and myself expressed concerns that those issues hadn't been addressed. So we weren't going to sign another contract. But we gave them 6 months, and that 6 months was March 1st. And I don't know what happened because they removed me, and of course, as you know, Kathy was very sick, and to my knowledge, they've not met. But I reached out to the Attorney General's office and the Ethics Commission because I was accused of having a conflict of interest, and I didn't understand what the conflict of interest was, so I had an attorney look at it. Because I didn't have a conflict of interest, I have no relatives who live there. I only was there, I only helped build it so that people could be happy there, so that we would have elder housing. So, but anyway, it's a very fine line of accountability with OurCAP and the directors and the people and the town. And this person was asking me questions about their contract and their bylaws and all this other stuff, which she found that there was no oversight or accountability that any directors would have because of the way they had written things. So I guess, and you know, because you're a resident of Townsend Woods, and Susan Congdon is a resident, another board member of Atwood Acres, and they have both had issues in the past couple of years. And also what happened yeah, it's 6 years. So also what happened was their maintenance man was let go, and it's just like been a snowball of concern. And the Housing Authority is responsible for those elder affordable units. So the concern of Kathy and myself was that, again, we wanted people to live happily in their retirement years, and we weren't getting anywhere. So I think what I'm asking of the board is possibly for a motion that we ask to be on the Board of Selectmen's agenda.
Yes.
And bring this to them, maybe get legal opinion from town council as to what the oversight is supposed to be. How do we fix what's going on, kind of thing. So,
Yeah, I would like to make this motion that we go before the Board of Selectmen. I have lived in Townsend Woods since its inception, and I can honestly say that I'm not happy there. I haven't had a really good night's sleep in 6 years.
okay, let's stick to a motion. though.
Anyway.
Okay, so you've made a motion. Can I hear a second that we asked to meet with the board? Okay, there's a second.
It's
Now you can
serious
discuss.
business. It's serious business.
Okay, so any other comments?
I have no problems with the motion. I do want to make sure that when we do present to the board of
Oh, yeah.
the selectmen, that we are completely prepared to be able to do that.
Yes, I have already have given every member of the board on OurCAP last October's meeting a statement of what I have experienced for 6 years. Yet they have done hardly anything about
No,
it.
I understand that, but
So-
what I'm saying is if we're going
But
in
yes,
front of
we
the
have
Board
to
of
have-
Selectmen,
Right, yes.
I want
Absolutely.
to have a meeting to
Oh,
discuss
yes.
exactly what we're going to talk
Yes.
about and what we're going to ask for.
We need to do that,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll do that to prepare for,
Yes.
once we get put on the agenda, we'll call a meeting to prepare for that.
Okay.
Because I think it's mostly going to be the questions that we have. In the discussion that I had with the Ethics Commission, I was asked questions that I wrote down that we should be asking of our town leadership and legal counsel. Because we don't know where to go with this.
Right.
They should be the ones to kind of take this bull by the horn.
Now, I know that we have also asked OurCAP to come to our meetings as well, and they have not shown up.
Yes, we have asked them to come to our meetings. We also asked them to make a presentation for our next project, and they have not, they've not answered. So...
Do we know why they're not answering?
I know.
It's speculation at best.
Yeah, well, they found a way to get me off the board. And I think it was because I was just asking a lot of questions, and it was because I was getting a lot of calls. And they basically told their residents that their residents were not to talk to the directors, that the directors were financial only. Jan, is it the same there at Atwood? At Atwood Acres?
So do the residents have a voice? Is there someone that speaks for the residents?
Well, we were supposed to have, we had a resident director, And that person left, and that was one of the things that we kept saying.
Was that someone who represented the residents, or is it someone who represented
And
OurCAP?
why don't you answer that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I have been very vocal. I have taken it upon myself to advocate, not only for myself, but for the residents of Townsend Woods. Because whatever benefits me is going to benefit every resident there. Residents, elderly residents, are very reticent to speak up. They may be afraid, some of them may be indifferent. Some of the residents that moved over to Townsend Woods from Atwood Acres, they just throw up their hands because they said, this has been this way for 22 years, it's not going to change. This is word for word what people have said to me. But you know what? I just keep saying there's always hope, and I'm going to keep on being that squeaky wheel. Because, you know, very, very few people want to be bothered to speak up. There are a few coming forward now, but not one resident has come tonight. And I put out flyers at Townsend Woods on each floor and in front of the laundry room. And not one, of course it was last minute, so I'm hoping to encourage, I want to try to encourage them to come so they can see what's going on. What I would like to ask you, Lori, is why, this is something I'm really confused on, why does Townsend Woods still have a contract?
Well, I don't
understand why they are still managing when their contract was supposed to be up in March, which was discussed at...
Well, I'm not on the board anymore, so...
I know. I just don't... I don't get it.
I'll tell you, I'm very disheartened over this, because to work on a project for this long and have the families move in there, and it's like, why did I didn't do this for it to be like a prison.
I know, but
You know?
but that's what it's like, and I can tell you that there are a lot of us residents, we are very disheartened.
So,
Madam Chair, Carol, to answer your question, to my knowledge, what happens is they do have a resident meeting, but the residents aren't allowed to speak, is what I'm understanding.
that sounds
Oh,
familiar.
well, no, we're allowed to speak at, you mean at tenant meetings?
No. When they had the board, and from what I understand, there was something where the residents were able to, were thinking they were going to go to express their opinion to the management company, and they were not allowed to speak.
Well, but there was a couple of people, Norman Mukai spoke, and a few other people that did. We are allowed to speak. That's the time when we can speak. I had a big statement prepared, but I opted not to speak because...
That was at the annual meeting, that
Right.
wasn't at the resident meeting.
Right.
She's talking about the annual with the board of
you know,
directors.
I chose not to speak because of personal reasons. So instead, I gave the statement to. I had a copy for a folder that I handed to everybody in the board. And tenant meetings we do speak, but very honestly, not much gets accomplished.
Okay.
It's a waste of time.
So, after about 2 years now,
Yep.
okay, and after my discussion with the Ethics Commission, is when I realized that that complex is really under the guise of the Townsend Housing Authority. And no staff, no Kathy. I feel like we need to meet with the Board of Selectmen, and we need a legal opinion, and we need direction as to what's going to happen there. Because you're talking about 50 units, you're talking about 86 units. And that's our affordable housing units, and there must be some oversight, there must be some kind of accountability by the partner to the town.
Okay.
So, and I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is, and I feel like we as a board need to go to the selectmen, who are the leaders of the town, and find out what it is that we have to do.
Okay,
The
so we're
town
looking
has
for
to do.
direction.
We're looking for direction. We can't give the direction. Ed?
just hearing this and knowing some of the background that has gone on, and now knowing that this board actually has some governing power, yet not,
Right.
okay? Because with what you've done, you've given them major tax breaks, provided they continue to take care of the two facilities, Townsend Woods and Atwood Acres. Now, if they're not doing that, then you know what? Maybe the taxes ought to start going up.
That's good. Good point.
Otherwise, if you can't put pressure on them, then what's going to change? They get rid of key people at the company. Some of them were there for a long time. And those same people, especially at Atwood Acres, I don't know that much about Townsend Woods, but especially at Atwood Acres, the person that was in charge for those many years, right, had taken very well care of those people in Townsend Woods.
Yes.
Had events to keep the process going, keeping everybody fired up and happy.
Right.
And not just, they're little things, a dinner or what.
Yes.
Right, exactly. Yes.
Birthday party, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
But if they've taken all that away, and then the management now is managing more like, this is a business and we need to make money here.
That's exactly
If that's
what
the
it is.
case,
But they call themselves a nonprofit.
Well,
Oh, yes. Their charter is a nonprofit. I have it in an email from whoever the president is now, that they are a nonprofit. So I'll have to get my emails together as well, too.
Maybe one of the things the board might consider doing is the management division of OurCAP. Are they heavily paid? Are they, because, and everybody else below?
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
We have reached out to talk with them. We've been wanting to talk with them for about 2 years now.
Yeah.
We have asked, please come to our meeting. And we've had them on as an agenda on our meetings, and nobody has shown up.
so but their contract is it now up? Is it?
Well, understand that they have, their charter is written in such a way, and they have this contract, that the board, which I was a part of, and I guess didn't understand it fully, voted their contract each year. Being as I usually am, I was normally late for the meetings, and a couple of times when I got in there, like at 10 after 7, their meeting was over and their contract was signed. So in the last 2 meetings that we had, because of all the complaints that were coming in, we started to ask questions, and at this last one, because nothing had been done from the year before, which was actually 13 months from the previous one, meaning that 2 positions hadn't been filled that were supposed to be filled on the board, and we were 5 instead of 7, and that had not been done for 13 months, yet they said they were going to do it. And then they said at the October one that they would have it done by March 1st, because we only wouldn't sign a new contract, extended it until March 1st, and they were supposed to have those 2 positions filled, which did not happen. And they were supposed to, for years they've been complaining about the heating system there and not satisfying the residents, and we knew that, but we didn't, and in fact, I even turned to them at this last meeting and said, I'm not sure what you're saying. You're saying that we only have financial oversight, and this is none of our business or none of our concern, but it is our concern. We want these people to be happy. So they looked at me, and I said to them, were we just a rubber stamp? Because we don't need to come and have a finger sandwich and a piece of cake once a year to just be, a rubber stamp.
I don't live like that.
Is
I
there
don't go to meetings like that.
Doing it well, that we could reach out and talk to and say, hey, how are you doing it? Or that has a different management company? Is there someone that we can talk to
Oh,
that's
there
doing
are
it
other,
well?
oh, yes. Oh, yeah. There are other people
And I think
that are doing this.
this is what we
and-
want to look into to see, we need to know legally what we're able to do at this point.
And can we go with another partner, and can we get
Yes.
another management company in
Or
there?
what do we
with
need
these
to do
people?
legally to put the feet to the fire if we need to do
Right.
that as well?
I mean,
Right,
we're the
that-
only
that-
advocate for these people. We built the buildings, we being the Townsend Housing Authority.
Yeah.
The town built the buildings for these people. We did not build prisons. Okay?
The town still
They're
owns
supposed to be happy.
So they're the town's buildings. and
Yes.
We're just not, and
Yeah, and
people just don't
I
have
just
this
don't,
manager.
I am not versed enough to tell you what the relationship is.
There is none.
No, I'm not versed enough to tell you what the responsibility is of the town and what is their responsibility to the town.
Right.
And that's why I want to go to the Board of Selectmen, because I don't see how we're going to figure, I have no staff. I don't know how we're going to figure this out. I am not versed in this. It's very frustrating. It really is, and it's very sad.
So can I move the motion?
What was that? I'm chairing, right, okay. You don't need
The
to.
motion was to
Yeah.
bring to
This-
put on the
Yes.
selectmen's agenda.
Yes.
Okay,
let's do
regarding
it.
the elder housing residents, okay. And there's second discussion, ready to vote?
Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, that motion passes, and I will submit a request to the town administrator to be put on the agenda. I also don't know who our liaison would be with the selectmen, and I'll try to find out who that is, and maybe can get that person involved. Okay, next meeting date. Now, since we want to move this along,
Yes.
I only have one Wednesday left in May that I could book, and that would be the 9th, next Wednesday. Does that work?
Next Wednesday works for me.
Yeah,
It's fine with me.
Okay.
I will have Wednesdays off now, so
Oh, okay,
earlier if that works for you guys.
okay. And is
May 9th?
May 9th, and will 7 work?
6, 7, whichever is better for you guys.
Seven's better.
7, that's
Okay.
fine.
Okay. So we are meeting next then at 7 PM
Right.
on Wednesday, May 9th.
Show
Do
on
you
the
want a
road.
date or time that you want agenda items submitted to you by?
Friday. This Friday. If anybody has anything they'd like to see on the agenda for next Wednesday, if you could get them to me by Friday.
I have a quick question, I'm sorry, I have to ask this so publicly. Where do I go to pick up the mail?
Oh, right, in the mailroom. I'll show you that after.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank
Hi,
you.
Dave.
Okay.
So
anything-
agenda items by Friday for next Wednesday's meeting.
Right.
Okay.
And in the meantime, I will try to get an email out tonight, and probably ask for maybe the 22nd if the selectmen would see us on the 22nd at perhaps 7:30, put us on there. How long do their meetings usually go?
We don't know with the new board. They should be nice and smooth. The old board, they could go on for hours.
Okay, but do they still start at 6?
Yes.
Okay, I have a 6:30
Are
assessors
we,
meeting.
would we be asking for a joint meeting, or would we just be asking as,
Well, I'll post it just in case anybody
That's
wants
what
to
I-
come. I'm not
Thing
going to
is,
prevent anyone.
They had set certain, they're not going to meet every week like the old board. They were
Right.
setting bi-weekly. so you
every
might-
other, I saw that
It's like
too.
first and third, I think.
Yeah.
if I remember.
First and third, so.
Yeah, but because of the town, I think they were doing, I would find out first because
Yeah.
I don't think they,
Yeah.
We're going to have to work around that. That's just fair.
First and
They're still
third.
trying to get-
Well, June
Well, if we-
5th, maybe.
My question to you is, are we asking for an open discussion, or are we asking for a joint meeting? That's going to be different. I mean, are we asking to be put on the agenda for, I mean, how are we supposed to be bringing up this business? That's why I wanted to meet beforehand, before we did that.
Well, can we further discuss this then on the 9th?
Maybe that's
Okay.
a good idea.
Try to-
Yeah.
See where I'm coming from?
Yeah,
Try to do that in the
absolutely.
work session.
Absolutely.
If we did it as a joint, then it would be different than if us just asking to be on the menu.
Yes.
On the agenda.
Yeah,
Can you tell I'm hungry?
yeah.
So why don't we?
I believe if you're going to have a quorum, you're going to have to post it as a meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my thoughts are that I have no problem sitting in front of them with the full board, and just present.
Yeah, just do it to be safe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and post it and just present it, whether it's joint or not. It would still be, we would still post a joint meeting. So we can discuss the other stuff, but I'd like to let them know that we do want to meet with them in reference to OurCAP and the elder housing, and just put that out there. And if they, I mean, I'm looking probably at the next, if it's the first Tuesday, probably June 5th.
Okay.
And that would give them enough notice to try to put us on their agenda, and we would have, maybe we can meet on another night to have further discussion if we can't get through it on the 9th.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be probably good.
Okay.
Safety.
Anything else to come before us? Any comments or?
Maybe one more.
I'm good, that's okay. Ed,
Anyway,
Mr. Snap?
the thing is, I think you just a comment. If you go back to when Atwood Acres was conceived,
Yeah,
and get that data so that you could go down through and see what all the different pieces that make this, and see what governing power you're supposed to have that has been nibbled away. Otherwise,
we do have a file cabinet, and I did find out where it was. I did, I found it like 2 weeks ago, here in the building. So I know where it is, and I think that,
The land use office, right?
in the land use office, in
Because there are
like the
maps in there
closet.
too, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of looks like the back of the bus.
Where is it?
To answer your question, I agree with you.
Appointment to go.
Right, there is, and I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. we
I
can
don't
do
know
that.
the particulars on what was agreed upon, and that's what we need to find out. You know, there is some agreements. When it was originally, I have a couple
We'll
of.
have to find 'em.
Yeah, I have a couple of the legal documents that talk about the land acquisition and how it all transferred and all that, but it didn't say anything. I couldn't find anything what I have on specifically management of the property. My concern is that what is our part in it? What do we need to do? And there's issues going on, and every time that we've brought it to them, we are not getting any answers to. So we're taking it to the next step, and I agree with you.
I
We don't
had
find out we
seen
have
changes, you know, and of course, I'm sitting out here at 10,000 feet, but I've seen changes, and the changes are good. And then when Jan, my own wife, comes home, and she's a little,
Yeah.
calm down.
Sad,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
the regular annual board meeting, and then the tenant meetings that she was a part of, it started to go downhill, and it wasn't productive.
Yeah. Jen, how long have you been involved
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
at Atwood?
Probably 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Bye, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
So we're gonna bring it out We're gonna
Good.
find out and bring it out and make sure it's not swept under the rug anymore.
I'm so thankful. This is why I wanted to be on this board, because I figured it's a good way for me to help.
Betty was able to come on as when we lost an elected seat and found out we were supposed to have an appointed seat, it had to be a rental resident. So we ended up with somebody who was right, and I mean, we have two people on the board that are at Elder Housing, one at Atwood and one at Townsend Woods, which kind of gives us a good idea of what's going on there. And I think we did not have that in the past. When we were building Townsend Woods, there was never anyone on the board that was at Atwood Acres.
Right.
So we're getting more information now, you know? So hopefully we'll be able to do something.
Yep.
And if
And that's
I
part of our mission, to promote and maintain.
Yeah.
So we need to maintain, and that's what we need to find out what our parameters are.
And Carol, if you wouldn't mind, if you have some time, I'll show you where Beth Faxon can actually tell you where when you come into town hall on your day off or something.
I can do that on Friday if someone has time to show me where the records are, and I can see what I
Okay, if
can
you
find.
could start doing that, I literally
Who do I
have,
see when I come here, or do you want to meet me here?
I can meet you and just show you where they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is 1 o'clock okay for you?
Sounds, I can do that. That would be 1 o'clock on Friday the 4th?
Yep.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion, we adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay, we are adjourning at, oh, wait a minute before I adjourn. I just want to put out a plea again to everyone for Hartley, that he is willing to train someone to tape their meetings. He's very kind to show up when he does and do it for us, and we so appreciate it, because it gets this information out to the community as well. And so I'm just putting that plea out there. And can I put that one on Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've done that before and didn't get any.
Also, on the website, there is a...
Oh, you put that on
Yep,
there.
there's
that would- yeah,
a section
see,
in
it's
there.
there too, Hartley.
Anybody that has a high school student that's in media and somebody who's
that'd be
interested,
great.
that,
Right.
you know,
That would be awesome.
we'd be more than glad to do public service and further yourself in your
And
career.
that really rounds out one of those high school students.
Yes, it
I mean,
does.
that they volunteered for,
Yes.
you know, to tape meetings. That would be great. Put that in the paper too. We need that help. Okay, so we are adjourned at 8:31. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.